Dear Audre,
Dear Miss Lord,
I must confess, given recent events, I've been so angry, as I know you have. Your experiences and the way you gracefully handle confronting adversity and ignorance has a quiet softness to it. My anger is valid, I know, and I am still soft, but my patience with white folks is dwindling by the minute, as I know yours has before. So many of my white siblings come from communities I've always sought for comfort, safety, and personal growth. But I'm starting to feel a little detached from those I love more than anything. It's as if you're pretty for a black girl, but what about black on black crime? Or is your hair real? Is coming to fruition, catching and collecting at the base of my chest or in the lump in my throat? I'm scared I'll never be patient and soft again, Sister Audre. I think the patience and softness is what has allowed me to love and be loved more freely. It's how I'm able to love those in my beautifully diverse family who are guilty with their history of passing and enjoying the fruits of white privilege. It's what allowed me to slow down and listen to them speak on how it's exhausting to keep explaining the parts of your identity that people don't see right now.
I struggled with identity like my friends struggled with math equations. Questing looks and glaring faces didn't help the situation like I was 14, 5, 20, and wondering why everyone's fixation was on my race, and not the fact that when I did speech in elementary school, I won second place. Instead, I had to wonder whether eyes stuck on my face as if demanding that I choose either one side or the other. Asking if I'm adopted because I don't look like my mother. I know I don't resemble much my sister or my brother, but that's okay, you see. Because my most important people love me for being me. I'm tired of being pretty for a black girl as if my beauty needs applause. Think they're doing me a favor, think that they deserve applause. Humanitarian award for saying beauty with a pause. Then they put me into boxes, their own ideas of who I am, say, can we even call you black when you're really just tan?
Sincerely, Marlee.
Sincerely, Denali.
Dear Audre.
Dear Miss Lord.
I'm committed to sharing beauty, Sister Audre. I wonder what you think of this. In predominantly white spaces, full of people, of lovers I could not let go of or live without, I find myself drifting between souls so full of love and the weight of judgmental stares that define who we are. We all have beauty in our experiences and in our art, and we share it with each other. We even share the aged skeletons in our overflowing closets, and we find understanding and validation. And when it comes to building bridges, dear Audre, what's more powerful than that?
When I first saw her, I did not love her. I did not like her. I thought she was too happy, too kind, too smart, too much like the person that I wanted to be in a world and a time I knew I couldn't. I saw her through a thick lens of jealousy. She had everything I could not possess. The lightness of her skin granted her miracles.
What was it like when you fell in love with a white woman? I have a few times. Is it a betrayal? I think I fall in love with black women on sight. Maybe there's a different type of love that comes from the comfort and safety and familiarity, but maybe there's more to it than that. Tenderness washes over the body, knowing you share the same brand of vulnerability with a stranger.
When I first saw her, we were in 7th grade, and suddenly the first time I met her didn't matter. We were talking like we had known each other for years when our souls had rejected each other at first sight just a year before. I felt the touch of her soul on mine, and I wanted to absorb into her light. I saw her as light. I saw myself as a skein. thought that the closer I absorbed into her, the more of her light would rub off onto me, and that people would see that beneath the stain was silk.
The times I have fallen in love with a white woman have been a slower, more individual process. There are so many white folks in my life that I feel as though our hearts speak the same tongue. I realized this when you spoke of the kind Russian woman who opened her home to you in Galstan, the one you shared stories of your children with.
I wanted to consume her thoughts, her life, just as she had consumed mine.
You said, I felt that she was a woman like myself, wishing that all of our children could live in peace upon their own earth, somehow make fruitful the power of their own hands. It's funny how sometimes you don't know what you want or need until a stranger or friend whose heart speaks the same tongue articulates it first.
And she showed me this world. And I have to thank her for that. And I loved her so much, and she gave me such a gift. A miracle. A miracle because I could forget for one moment that I was different than everyone else. I could be someone they thought I wasn't, with full permission from everyone in the room, and they would marvel at me and think that I was so much more than what I appeared, which was everything that I wanted. She gave me a love of myself that year.
It's funny, Sister Audre. I've been so concerned about how my memory has been fading that I'll never forget the day on the bus ride to school with my childhood best friend, Rhea. We were 5 and taking turns kissing each other on the peely leather seats with her other best friend, Alexa. I didn't know Alexa well, but I was jealous of her and Rhea's friendship. In between swift kisses, Rhea stated that it was Alexa's turn to kiss me. Alexa turned around to look at me, face wary, and said, I'm not going to kiss a black person. I had to go to school that day feeling dirty and undeserving of physical affection, and by extension, love.
Not too long after, she told me she was afraid of black people. And she looked me in the eyes and said, but I am not afraid of you. And I thought I had cured her. And she squeezed my hand and said, I just don't see you that way. I thought I had cured her of her fear of my kind, and she didn't even consider me to be one of them. I think she wanted me to feel honored by that.
People will tell you they care how you feel until your feelings make them uncomfortable. And where does that leave me? When I'm in bed at 2 a.m., tracing the spine of a white lover with my brown hands, my always trembling fingers.
When I first touched her, the world stopped. And we were in bed, in the quiet, and everyone else was asleep. And there was a moment of complete silence and stillness. And I rolled towards her warmth, snuck close, my lips on her shoulder, not touching her anywhere she is begging to be touched. Because I know that in the morning, she won't want to talk about it. So we won't.
When I am so overwhelmed by her allure, yet anxious about what seeds of racism have been planted inside her, that could come out one day and cause me to falter, stagger my breathing in the cathartic and terrifying pattern I have of surrendering all the love I have.
The next 3 years will go by in a blur. And I will love her enough to wish her happiness elsewhere, and I will try to forget. And I will satisfy myself with being ever present in her life when she gets bored of all the others, and I will try to forget. The tingle in my fingertips from touching her. The ones that lasted minutes, hours after. Forget it like it was a one-time thing, like she did so easily when it played on a loop in my mind for a year. I loved her more than she could love me, and I was okay with that. Eventually, I would come to love someone else, in addition to not replacing her.
The love I feel the need to dial back for fear of scaring the other person. I know racism lies deep inside, coming from all different places, sometimes out of the control of the person it resides in. But I can't help but feel guilty, as though my black brothers and sisters will look down on me for continuing to associate, let alone love those blinded by racism.
When I first saw her, I knew betrayal. After 6 years of friendship, how could she lie and steal when I would have given to her and listened if she had just asked? When I first saw her, I loved her anyway. Loved her as she placed her hands on my gift-wrapped surface and tore into me. A child on Christmas morning, unattended to the pieces she left behind. And I let her. Because I thought that wrapping was just decoration. That I was just decoration. And I would have done anything for her. Would have been anything for her. When I first saw her, it had been 9 years since I first saw her. Completely different from who I once knew. I do not recognize her now. I do not recognize myself. And I am